This is Bryce Van Patten with Metal Express Radio Backstage, and Timeless Haunt has recently released their first full-length album, Dark for Life, on Stormspell Records. And today I'm talking with the Unknown Vocalist, frontman of the band, and George, the bass player. How's it going today, guys?
We are doing wonderful. You? Especially now that we're talking to Bryce from Metal Express.
Great. And George, could you give us your whole name?
George Dimitri, DDS.
Awesome.
Which
I'm going to ask you guys, if I knew nothing about your sound and you had to describe it to me in like an elevator pitch, what would you say?
I would say it's tasteful heavy metal, and it's not over anyone's head. We purposely, for lack of a better expression, we kind of dumb it down a little bit, even though we can do it. It just doesn't mean that we have to do it all the time.
Right.
So we try to keep the songs groove oriented. We try to keep it a little bit more simple, so it's a little bit more accessible to a larger audience, without posing out. To use that old expression.
Try to write melodic stuff so people basically can enjoy it.
But super dark. We really try to keep the lyrical content and everything really super dark.
There's a creepy
I noticed that with the backwards vocals at the intro of the record.
Did you play them the other way to find?
Not yet. Not yet. I haven't thrown it into Audition and reversed it, but I was thinking about it. So
you must.
I'm reviewing the album, so I'm sure I probably will before I finish writing it up.
Okay.
So
cool.
Okay, for you, Unknown Vocalist, you're known as the Unknown Vocalist, and in this day and age where everybody in the industry has pages with profiles on Wiki, social media, what is the story behind your persona?
I'm not sure if there's really a persona. I just I've always been intrigued with bands like Kiss and guys that dress up and have fun with it. And I mean, I just hate I just hate going to a show and I know some guys have a complete opposite point of view than I do. But when I go to see a band, I want to see a performance. I want to see a show, and I want to see people that are larger than life. And I kind of like the whole mysticism thing, even though it's much harder to do in today's internet world. I just like the whole mysticism part. I mean, you may find it corny or cheesy or whatever. I don't know. I kind of dig it. So that's where I'm at. There's not really a story other than I want to grab an audience's attention and kill it.
Yeah, nice thing is that
this would be cool. I want to do this. And we said, all right, sounds good.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it lets you do whatever you want. You're not locked in. And as opposed to somebody that shows up in jeans and a T-shirt.
Right. Plus,
Yeah,
so. I was going to say, plus, I'm not getting any younger, and it's easier. Kiss did it right. They knew damn good and well they weren't getting any younger when they started in their teens. Hey, let's put makeup on our faces. We can do this till we're fucking 80.
Well, eventually the whole band will be replaced by young guys wearing the makeup, and they won't even be playing anymore. It'll just be Kiss, authorized by Kiss or something like that.
That's like a shit ton of money.
God, they make so much money, it's ungodly. So your first full-length album came out last year, Dark for Life. Can you talk a little bit about your recording process and how it came together?
Yeah, George.
Well, basically we wrote the songs and we went to the studio when we were ready and we recorded them.
Right. But how did you write the songs? Did each guy write a little bit? Did one guy write everything? What's your process?
We all input. Someone will come up with a riff or an idea. I myself am a middling guitar player, so I would try and dictate what was in my mind to a guitar player who did a great job in bringing it to life for me. So each of us would contribute, and then we get together, and the songs would just grow from there. It's not one person who really just writes everything, and the rest is marked like a cover.
This album,
he does all the lyrics.
Yeah. This album was particularly a pain in the ass because, as you knew, COVID hit back in 2020, was it now? And that's when we started. That's when we started writing the album. So some of those songs we actually had to learn after we got out of the studio because we hadn't played them as a band because Thank
God for DAWs, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
we would send parts, we would record parts, email them to each other, and somebody would add to it, and we would just communicate a lot, and that's how the songs came about.
So we showed up to the studio, and I apologized to the studio guy right away, and I said, "Look, this is going to be It could be a process, but we got it done.
So when you guys recorded the record, you actually were all in the same studio.
Yes.
Playing together.
Yes.
You got to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because a lot of bands I'm talking to these days are like, they'll go into the studio, like a big studio, and do the drums.
Yeah.
And then it just gets, since every guy's been working on it in his home studio, and then they get together again and do a mix, you know. But it's cool that you guys are able to all be in the same room and play, because not everybody's been that lucky, especially if your bandmate is in another country during COVID or something like that.
For sure.
But that's super cool. I was going to say the album has some excellent production, you know, from like some haunting layered vocals to nice pianos, keyboards, guitars. And do you guys have a producer, or do you produce yourself?
Well, thank you for that compliment, by the way. But yeah, we have a really good guy called Joe Loftus. He runs JL Studios here in northern Pennsylvania. He's like the premier guy to go to around here. We've been working with him. I've worked with him on several albums even before this. So so I got to know the guy. He knows his craft. It's an art, and you can tell by the production on the album that on both albums. Yeah.
It came out really well. So you guys all, from reading your notes, you guys are all multi-instrumentalists, pretty much, right?
Except
everybody plays. Do you play anything besides use?
I have enough. Enough to deal with.
You've got enough to do singing?
Yeah, I have enough singing.
He's a nasty cowbell.
And George?
Yeah, I'm obviously the bass player, but again, I can play middling guitar. I can create ideas. I can play some piano. So, like on our first CD, I wrote Sands of Agony. I wrote the piano to it. Actually, that's me recording it too, by the way.
Yeah, George did all the keys on the first album. I know we're talking about the second one, but before we got our keyboard player for this next album, he actually played all the keys in the original.
So I do like what Don has done to him.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's kind of what I was going to ask too, as well. With you guys, is a lot of you. I noticed your guitar player also plays bass and everything. So do you guys sometimes record a little part and then all the keyboard player takes it over, and then when you get in the studio, you guys everybody just does their part? Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, pretty much. Again, I might have a piano part and I'll show it to Don, and and he'll transcribe it as a real keyboard player would. So
he'll do the real version of it.
He'll play the real version. But yeah, if you find some hidden pre-production somewhere, you'll hear me tinkering around off time, coming up with an idea or trying to present the idea.
Nice.
It's nice that everyone in the band can read and understand music. Our drummer John does he have a bachelor's in music?
He does. He has a bachelor's.
Nice.
He comes up with some interesting like orchestral parts. I think he wrote all the orchestral parts for the original album. So it's nice to have that available. Me,
Absolutely.
I'm still taking vocal lessons because I still suck. So
he's fair to middling.
I don't know about that, but
he's fair to middling.
But it's nice. It's nice that you're humble. I appreciate humility, especially in a front man.
Yeah, there's always somebody better. Until you get to know me, he thinks I have LSD. We call that lead singer's disease.
He does. Don't let his ass kissing fool you. It's a good LSD though.
Yeah.
So, you guys recorded a couple cover tunes. Nightcrawler, Judas Priest, of course, and then the kind of surprise one. Is it Wicked Game
by Chris Isaac? Yes,
by Chris Isaac. Which I listened to your version, and then I found a live version of him playing it, and I was just like, "Damn, both versions are really good." And so how did you how do you guys pick a cover, and how did you end up with these two?
I'll tell you how we came up with the Chris Isaac one. That was just me one day saying, "Hey, let's be different. Let's play a Chris Isaac song in a metal band and kind of metal it up a little bit." And yeah, of course, everyone looked at me like I was an idiot.
No, we look at you. Well, we look at you like you're an idiot anyway. But in this particular case, it was more of a, you know what? I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. And then
go ahead. No, I was going to say because it works. So. It works.
Yeah, when we're learning, are banging around covers, deciding what we want to do, we try really to think, all right, are we going to do this to justice? Is it appropriate for what we're trying to portray as a band? Right. It's not just, oh, this is cool, and, you know, get a nut off because I wanted to do this song because I really like it.
Right.
It's got to be appropriate for what Timeless Haunt is trying to do.
Right.
Right. And I always,
song worked.
Yeah, I always felt that when a band does a cover, you're putting it on your album. I mean, if you're doing it for fun, you're doing it for fun. But if you're doing it, you should be bringing something new to the table, you know, not just like, we can reproduce this cover, you know, which is, if you're in a cover band, that's fine. But when you're an original band, you know, I'm sure you guys agree that if you can't add something to it, what is the point? What do you think?
You got it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick to add to that. My brother, who's been with me since the start of my 37 or whatever year music career, this is the first time he's actually on his own, without any prodding, told me how much he liked the song and how well we did it.
Which one?
Chris Isaac, the Wicked Game One.
Awesome.
Dude,
awesome.
That song.
I was like, really?
That song, the women love it. I mean, come on. The women love it. It's hard to get women involved in the metal. So
they do. You know, it comes to mind, like, you know, when Marilyn Manson did Sweet Dreams and took up, like you're saying, one genre and totally turning it on its head, you know.
Right.
And your guys is a little more straight to the beat and everything. You didn't change tempos and all that stuff, but you still changed it enough to where it's your own thing. And yeah, I like it a lot. I think it has legs.
So let me talk about the Judas Priest one real quick, because that's kind of
that's what I wanted to get to.
Kind of a story that started on my end. Obviously, you know who Sean Peck is of the band Cage, Death Dealer, Three Tremors. And
the Hellion, or I forget his name. Yeah. But I know Sean. I've talked to Sean. He's a great guy.
He's a good friend of mine. So he called me one day out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey man," he goes, I'm getting us tickets to the Eagles game. He's a big Chargers fan, so they're going to be in Philly, and so I'm going to take you to the Eagles game. I got you tickets. I was like, cool, all right. So this is months out, and we were talking on the phone, and he says, "Hey, well, we had a show to do actually at the Field of Screams, which is a big haunted attraction down by us." And I said, well, hey, while you're down here, because he was supposed to spend the night at my place, I said, why don't you do a couple songs with us? I said, we'll even learn a song for you. He says, oh, well, how about Nightcrawler from Judas Priest? And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll do Nightcrawler. That'd be fucking awesome. We could trade vocals back and forth for it. One thing turned into another. He ended up getting the tour with Three Tremors. So he called me up and said, hey, bad news. I can't make, our plans. I'm going to be on tour, but I'm still taking you to the Eagles game.
Delaware.
And they played Delaware that night. So afterwards, he asked me after the Eagles game if I could drive him over to Delaware. And
hold on.
All right.
To be continued. Hang on.
Technical difficulties.
Fucking George yanked me.
I did. Was it as good for you?
No.
You know, it's actually louder that way.
Is it louder this way?
It is.
Oh, cool.
That's weird, isn't it?
Good job.
And you look so great.
Played that off well.
Yeah, so we get to the Eagles game. I take him. By that time, I already had Nightcrawler done. And I said, why don't you do some guest vocals on it? I said, I'll get the song recorded. I'll get you everything without the vocal tracks sent over to you, and you can put your own spin on it. Well, he had agreed to do that before any of this stuff started to happen for him, and he got super, super busy. So I played him the song in the car on the way to his Delaware show, and he looked at me, and he heard the song, and he goes, what the fuck do you need me for? I said, well, this is exactly what he said. He goes, what the fuck do you need me for? I said, well, to be honest with you, I kind of want your fans. Because I know your fans dig this kind of shit. And, I mean, I'm not nearly as big as you are, so maybe you could fucking throw me a bone. So I don't know if it's still going to happen or not, but if there is another version of that song that'll come out with me and him, that might be released in the future. Who knows? I'm not going to bug him about it. So, yeah, and then we ended up at the hotel afterwards, and all of us got fucking smashed, and then we played a show with them the following week in the Scranton, Pennsylvania area, and then after that, the whole Three Tremors band came over to my place, and we drank till about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, it was a fun couple of weeks. And then we all got COVID.
Good time spread by all. You got COVID?
We all got COVID. I got COVID.
Yeah.
My wife got COVID. Sean, I think, got COVID. His whole band was sick. Ripper Owens was sick. They were all sick, and we were all hugging all over each other. So,
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, it looks like you guys came out of it okay.
Oh yeah, we're good. It was, a minor inconvenience.
So, listening to the record, the band feels like there are some Savatage influences, as well as definitely some strong Judas Priest influences.
Well,
can you talk a little bit about some of the classic metal bands and what they mean to you?
Okay, well, I can tell you that the Savatage thing is a total accident. That was not done on purpose. Like it comes across and everybody says, "Oh, it sounds Savatage." And it's like, man, I'm a big Savatage fan, so I mean, I do take it as a compliment, even though we're trying to find our own thing. It's so goddamn hard. I'm trying to keep true to the roots of heavy metal, but I'm trying to also progress it at the same time. It's a really tough juggling act because you get, and no offense to you or anybody, but you get these reviewers, and a lot of them are just half-ass reviewers stuck in their parents' basement writing these fucking reviews, and they want to rip you because you don't sound like everything from 1986. I'm trying to get away from that. I want to keep those roots. I want people to say, yeah, I hear that. But I can see that they're also trying to do their own thing here. It's really freaking tough. I am a huge Judas Priest fan, obviously. So probably, again, I'm not trying to do the Judas Priest thing, but yeah, it comes out. I mean, I can't help it, I guess. I think on the next album here, and I've really done it because I'm not going to tell you the band I was in before this, but I was constantly singing high all the time, constantly. And and the Europeans, man, they love that shit. They eat that up, Now it's like, this stuff here that we do, we still get really good reviews for the most part. But you hear the other stuff. Oh, he could be doing so much more. You can tell they're holding back and they're not doing. You don't get it. It's about songwriting. It's not about screaming in your face the whole damn time.
Yeah, go ahead, George. No, go ahead, George.
If I want to show off, I can do a YouTube video, whatever, showing off playing. I'm not going to show off if it takes away from the song, and that's the idea. The structure, it's the song itself.
Absolutely. It's like I've always felt the same way. You don't want a bass player noodling through the song saying, "Hey, look at me." You want the best thing for the song. I mean, if you have an awesome part and it works and it shows some skill, that's beautiful and a great thing. But the song should always be first. And I agree with you completely on the vocals too, that there's no reason to be doing pyrotechnic screams constantly just for the sake of them. If they don't add something to the song, get them the fuck out. Right.
Yeah, it's just showing off. It's just showing off. I mean, for what reason? You can do it and you pick your moments. And if you do it right, it's going to be great. But if you do it all the time, I want to turn that shit off.
Exactly. It's like this. Does anyone want to really eat a pound of caviar in one sitting?
Some people do.
Maybe somebody, but you know what I mean. Yes. You're going to be like, ugh, I've had enough.
So I think we're on the fence there, finding what we're heading towards being really just being. When you hear us, it's Timeless Haunt. It's not. You don't hear anything else. You hear Timeless Haunt. We're trying. It's hard. Everything's been done.
Exactly.
The Savatage thing, again, it started with Santa Agony because it's piano heavy. And obviously our keyboard player is an equal member, not just a filler player, if you will.
Right.
And so obviously Savatage is, got a lot of piano stuff too. So that's where that comparison came from.
Yeah.
I was going to say the very same thing, is that when you throw in piano with the heavy metal and then keep things open a little bit, right? Because you guys have some, you know what I mean by open, like you have
the song breathes in there. It's not.
Yeah, there's some grand chords that give things a chance to breathe with some beautiful piano. And then, with everything layered in, it works really great. And I will say, though, the first song on the record definitely is the one, if anyone wanted to say you guys sounded a little like Savatage. It's that song more than any of the other ones. But I also noticed, like, 2 more songs in, I was just thinking of nothing but Judas Priest, but except for the vocals, you know what I mean? The way they're layered, I was thinking of Priest, but your voice doesn't sound like it. And you guys didn't, to me, but I've listened to and played tons of metal. So it's, my opinion is that your guys' name is pretty appropriate, because the style of music you do is what I consider timeless and a little haunting.
Very good.
So is that kind of, that was my other question is, does the name have any more significance other than that?
You're very close. Your second half of the haunting, yes, is haunting music, obviously. The timeless thing, and I'm sorry if you hear my dogs barking outside. Hopefully it's not coming through on the microphone.
No, it's all right.
The timeless thing was, hey, you know, I mean, we're aging. We're not 25. We're kind of timeless. We're just a timeless haunt.
That's it.
So that's the significance there. Nothing more than that.
But the name does sort of
Name does
give you that eerie,
Yeah.
eternal eerie feeling, which we try and convey with music. So it works.
Well, you guys are both a little older, so you're probably like me, remember the days when you'd go into the store to get your record album.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to preview the tracks. There was no little headphones on the station and a button to push, and you could not, there was no online. So you'd grab an album, and if it had like a stunning album cover that looked evil or something, you're like, oh, these guys got to be great. You know what I mean? But it's Grim Reaper, and you take it home, and then
No
no offense to Grim Reaper fans. No offense, but I mean, that's where I was with it. But your guys' album cover is really awesome. And I had just done something else for your PR guy, Benjamin. And he's like, you want to cover anything else? And I said, send me the list. And I just looked through and saw your album cover, and I go, and I saw Unknown Singer, and I go, there's a story here. There's some mystery here. You know what? I went straight for you guys, and I'm glad I did, because when I heard the music, I was, cool. I found Nightcrawler, and then can't wait to hear the original. So yeah, I think it's super cool. And how did you guys come up with the album cover?
It was Felipe Machado Franco did the album cover. We had an idea, and we relayed it to him, and he just took it and ran. And he came up with that.
The idea was Dark for Life. So right. Dark for Life, the meaning of the song, to me, was about growing up with sort of an abusive father, so you grow up dark for life. You don't want to be dark. You just end up that way. So the album cover where the woman is holding the baby, that would represent me as a baby. And then, all the darkness around her trying to steal the baby away, and she just can't hold on tight enough. So that's kind of what it means to us.
I thought the one was you because you're a bitch.
Well, yeah, I'm a bitch.
I'm sorry, my phone was buzzing while you were talking. I thought I turned it off, but it's sitting there buzzing on something. So
that's all right.
I'll throw it across the room and get it the hell away. It won't make a noise on the carpet, at least. So yeah. So do you know? Did he paint it, or is it a digital production?
I think it's digital. I don't think he painted it. But Felipe, he does. I think he does stuff for Halloween.
Yeah.
Some of those guys.
He's done a lot of awesome artwork.
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic. So
that's great.
How's the album been received so far?
I've received well.
Yeah, for the most part, I would definitely say
we've gotten good reviews, good ratings.
For the most part, some people don't understand it. Some people are like, I don't know what these guys are doing. Why would they put that?
Why do a cover song?
Yeah, why do a cover?
Original?
Yeah,
people.
Yeah, you can't please them all, right?
Yeah, you're not going to please them all. And to be honest with you, I can't stand bands who take offense when you don't like their music. It's like, hey, man, what do you think you're going to please everybody?
No.
The criticism can be good.
Constructive is good.
Possibly learn from it.
Right.
Yeah. So but then go ahead. Go ahead.
Then there's just dicks.
Yeah. Like he said.
Suck. Thank you. That really tells me a lot. I appreciate your insight.
I like the constructive criticism, and I always take that with a grain. I always take. What the fuck am I trying to say?
You're trying to say you're adult enough to take it and possibly glean positive from it.
Right, and grow from it.
Yeah, as long as it's not like, why aren't there more screams? Why aren't there more screams?
Yes, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, buddy. There's not enough screams for you. But thank you for listening.
You just tell them, just loop one of the screams and sit there for an hour.
That's a good idea. You tell me what screen you want. I'll loop it in my DAW and I'll sing you a copy.
That should be on our next album.
We'll NFT it so we can make some money to pay for the next album.
Yeah.
So the album came out like at the beginning of last year, right? And so you guys, have you had a chance to do any shows supporting it yet?
A couple, but honestly, we are so focused on writing the next album. Albums. Yeah, we have 2 of them in the works, and
sweet.
Maybe they'll get done this year. I highly doubt it. I know one will for sure, 100%. But I'm just, well, you know, we kind of live in the middle of the sticks here. So when we go out and do play a show, we try to make sure that show is, for lack of a better word, worthwhile to our time, and it's going to give us the most exposure. It's going to give us the most opportunity to be seen in front of a wide audience, not just, you know, your wives and girlfriends at the local club. So
absolutely.
And I know that sounds pretentious. It's just
not really.
We're not
really at a certain age. You know, if you're 20, you're 20. Yeah, you're 20, 25 in an early young band. You need to get out there just to do it, you know. But when you're a veteran and you've seen it all before, you want to play the shows that count as much as you can, you know. But also, if you get on a tour with somebody, you probably going to play some of both, I would think, right? Unless you got signed on with Judas Priest or somebody like that.
Yeah, exactly. So
I would do a show with Judas Priest.
Yeah,
I'm good with it. Yeah.
But so, do we do shows? Yes, we do shows. Do we do a ton of shows? Not yet. We're very selective right now at this point.
Yeah.
So what does 2022 have in store for Timeless Haunts from here out?
Good, George.
Lots of cool new original music is in the works right now.
Awesome.
I can't really. I don't want to divulge too much because
no, I don't want you to. Just anything, but if you give us a little.
But I can tell you it will be extremely creepy. Extremely creepy.
Sort of a concept theme.
I
like that too.
So much different. Definitely different than what we've been doing.
Right.
We're going to go back to what we've been doing, but if this experimentation on our part takes off like we hope it will, then it may be something permanent that we do. So we're kind of just testing the waters right now with this new album we're putting out. And hopefully, it will be released before Halloween, and that's all I'm going to say.
Excellent. If you're going to time it for Halloween, that's always good when you're doing a nice creepy thing. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to talk about or that you want to add? You want to do a shout out?
That was a good interview.
Anything on social media you want to talk about? Anything that you want to say to the fans?
Can I just compliment you on the interview? It was well thought out.
Course.
You've done your homework, and
he's a professional.
And you were easy and pleasant to talk to. I'm a little disappointed you haven't asked about Timeless Haunts' sexual adventures, but but this isn't the Howard Stern show, so leave that for another day and time. But no, great interview. We had a lot of fun.
Okay, I was going to ask you one last thing. So the video shoot for Nightcrawler.
You're going to ask about the girls.
Well, and a little bit about the location. I thought that like whatever that abandoned building was pretty damn cool.
That is actually multiple abandoned buildings. So up here, we live in coal country. So there's a lot of coal mining and strip mining that go on up here. So what they were tenement houses that were built for the higher ups of a coal company up that way where we did our film, which is about an hour from where I live here. And the place is called Concrete City. And the reason they named it that is it's an actual little town. It is in the middle of the woods now. It's all overgrown and spray painted and everything else.
Wow.
But it was only active for about 3 years before the things, they were so cold and damp to live in. They leaked water all the time. They couldn't keep the concrete in good repair, so they abandoned it and let it go. And now there's this town in the middle of the woods. There's probably, 20, 25 different buildings?
Something like that.
There's a concrete pool in the middle, and this was back in I believe the
1911.
1911.
Wow.
They abandoned it in the 20s, I think.
So we went out and scouted the place with the videographer, and I fell in love with it right away because, I mean, just the colors and the spray paint and the way it's falling down and the water just comes through. And it rained that day, which made it even better. I mean, we hated that to happen because it was a big mud fest, but boy, did it fit the song perfectly.
So were there some challenges shooting a video way out there with no power? And
we had an entire crew. We probably had probably close to 20, 30 people out there. We had to move equipment back there with a four-wheeler. We had multiple trailers of equipment that we had to drag back there. Then it was, and I'm not just saying mud. This is mud where you sink into. It was mud.
So there's probably not a road, right?
There's not a real road.
Right. It's all washed out. So then it rained and it was windy that day. The only blessing that day is it was December 7th, I believe we did it. And usually in Pennsylvania, December 7th, the high is like 30 degrees. So we got lucky that day. It was like in the 60s or something that day, but it was really super windy and rainy, which really made the video pop. So yeah, it was a logistical nightmare, but we pulled it off.
Challenge.
It was a cool looking place. So it's like super. It's hard to come by that. Did you guys need to get anyone's permission, or were you able to just traipse?
Yeah, you could just go
traipse back there, and
it's public land, so you could go back there anytime you want. People go back there all the time. People bring their guns back. I mean, we had a couple people just show up in Jeeps that actually helped us out because by the time it started getting dark, by the time we were done, and these people in Jeeps, they were drunk off their asses, just mudding through, and then they packed up our shit and drove it out for us. So
that's super cool. It's great when you run into good people just randomly. You know what I mean?
They were good old boys. They had their guns on them, and they were drinking, and they were shooting these big cannons and shit back there. So yeah, it was cool. It was a good time.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys for being here, and the band again, Timeless Haunt. The album Dark for Life, great classic metal that is timeless and does haunt us a little bit. So I dig your fresh approach, and I can't wait to hear more. Best to you guys.
Hey, thanks, and take care, my man.